This is not how it was intended to seem. This was intended to be easy, so it wasn't the producers, the league, or even NBC. A brief segment with a sweet crossover. The college star has arrived. Wave, smile, speak for 2 minutes, then walk away. Everyone was expecting that. Rather, the structure as a whole felt changed at the end of the night. Veterans staring at the TV as if they had just saw something they shouldn't have, phones vibrating, execs chatting. Because Caitlin Clark somehow stopped looking like a guest in less than 2 hours. She appeared to be the star of the show. And that's where the issue began. It started out softly. A typical NBA broadcast on NBC Sports with highlights rolling, crowd noise humming, analyst jokes, and no dramatic opener or breaking news. The host then mentions her name in a casual manner. Caitlin Clark will be joining us tonight. Easy, innocuous. However, it wasn't because the vibe shifted the moment the camera cut. You sensed it. Nor exhilaration, nor hype. Something heavier, something awkward. As if everyone in the room suddenly recognized that this wasn't meant to happen yet. She wasn't meant to be present. Not so quickly. Not on this stage, not this large. However, she was there. Calm, at ease, free of anxiety and rookie discomfort. She sat between seasoned experts as if she had been doing this for a decade. This is where it gets insane. She didn't seem impressed. She didn't appear appreciative. She didn't act like someone who had just received an invitation to the largest basketball court in the United States.
And the NBA players on set, I'm going to wear stilts next time you see her there with Carmelo and Reggie Miller. And that's with Reggie Miller saying he's the third best shooter in the state of Indiana right now.
There's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. Okay. It goes Caitlin, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not sure Tyrese would agree.
So there you go. Caitlin talking about that, poking fun at the appearance. That was one of the first things that stood out. Then there is the important question, which came later in the broadcast about the CBA. And one thing you have to like about it is Caitlin Clark was confident.
She corrected the host, called out defensive errors, broke down pick and roll coverages, and corrected past players as if she already belonged there and wasn't attempting to blend in. And because social media started sharing footage quickly, audiences noticed right away.
Hold on, she's really fantastic.
Why does she feel so at ease? How does this sound like a rookie? It was no longer adorable. It was no longer buzz. It was power. Furthermore, having authority might be risky, particularly if you didn't prepare for it. Here is what fans were not able to witness behind the scenes. Front desk employees were already texting one another on their phones. Are you observing this? Why is she in prime time? How long has this been going on?
There's no more iconic figure in basketball, in women's game right now, or the game in general, about Caitlin Clark. In the game in general, that's all I gotta say is that that is not something that the WNBA would be happy with. We saw it. The WNBPA said that Alyssa Thomas was the reason why people are watching. And by the way, it's not even, people are like, oh, it was the finals about Alyssa Thomas. No. They literally said it wasn't just the playoffs, but our regular season broke records as fans went to watch Alyssa Thomas.
For example, there was an unwritten norm in place for years. WNBA players remain in their own world. The NBA remains in theirs. Distinct worlds, distinct attention, and distinct financial resources. Nobody, especially novices, crosses the line. However, no one informed Caitlin Clark of the rule's existence. Perhaps she simply didn't give a damn. She entered the largest platform in basketball media as if the doors were never locked, while others waited for their turn. Then, the unexpected moment arrived. They switched to the feed from the arena. Madison Square Garden. Loud, crowded, and historic. Legends are created in this type of location. And the throng. They weren't supporting the NBA players with their chants. For the game, they weren't chanting. Her name was being chanted by them.
Caitlin, Caitlin, Caitlin.
On a night in the NBA. Consider how crazy that is. Inside Madison Square Garden, a WNBA rookie is receiving more applause than NBA veterans. That's not typical. It isn't marketing. Takeover energy is that. And because this isn't a guest appearance, takeover energy terrifies people, especially those in authority. It's not a cross-promotion. This is not the same thing. This seems like a shift, and shifts indicate a loss of control. Within the offices of the Women's National Basketball Association. Later, insiders reported that the same word kept coming up. Unforeseen. Her dominance of the broadcast was not anticipated by anyone. No one anticipated a rise in ratings. Nobody anticipated that NBA fans would ask, "Who is she? I'm keeping an eye on her." The fear starts to set in at that point. Because fans don't require the league if they follow her. Networks don't need the league if they call her directly. Sponsors don't need the league if they want her face. Additionally, the system becomes anxious when a player no longer needs it. Veterans experienced it as well. Imagine working for 10 years, battling for respect, commercial flights, vacant seats, and inadequate compensation. Then a 22-year-old enters and receives more national attention in a single night than you have in your whole professional life. That doesn't seem motivating. That seems intimate. It seems as though you are being replaced. The whispers then began. This is excessive. She is being forced everywhere. It's merely hype. However, the numbers continued to rise. Ratings increased with each segment she touched. Engagement soared in every clip she was in. Not a little, but a lot. Which revealed the one thing that no one wanted to acknowledge. She wasn't taking advantage of the league's fame. The teammate was riding hers.
League's biggest star is saying she's confident a CBA will get done. Then there were some other topics hit up on the broadcast as well, including her wanting to play at Madison Square Garden. You know, that is where she was broadcasting from, the Knicks and the Lakers. It is a great arena. I've spent a lot of time in the Garden.
Lakers and the Knicks taking center stage here for the 302nd overall meeting. And for the first time ever, we've got basketball night in America, the first Sunday in February. And we're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
Welcome. MSG for a Knicks game. It's pretty cool.
I know, it's her first Knicks game, first time feeling that.
It's reversed, and backwards poses a risk. Then an even stranger event occurred. She was more than just a talented actress. She began to dominate the space. She is being questioned by hosts. Visitors respect her opinions. As she discussed plays, former NBA players nodded. On national television, a novice instructs veterans. That's not typical. Dominance is that. Dominance also quickly makes enemies because it no longer appears to be the case. Take a look at how far women's basketball has advanced. Why didn't we anticipate this, it seems? Missing the future is the biggest source of embarrassment for executives. Because terrible things are said by insiders. Not even NBC made the initial contact. Another network overanalyzed, postponed, and hesitated. Classic error. This is where it gets tense because when you miss a generational star, people remember that the hush after the performance ended was deafening rather than celebratory. While they were reviewing NBC, they moved quickly, signed, booked, and overnight they owned the narrative, which meant someone else missed it badly. Not a congratulations. There was silence, as if everyone in the room was seeing history unfold and unsure of whether to applaud or freak out.
But listen, there's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. Okay. It goes Caitlin, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not sure Tyrese would agree.
Right here. She's taking over for me right now.
Into the arena.
Well, I feel fortunate enough. A lot of the arenas we go into, a lot of people are cheering for our team, which is pretty nice.
Snap.
But there are some road games. I think even the Liberty fans, San Francisco, the Valkyries have a great crowd. Like, you want to take them out of it right away. You want to make them call the first time out. I think that's kind of what we always talk about. But that's what makes it fun. And I like what he said. If you're a star, like, these are the games you show up for. And that's really true. Like, these are the games that just mean a little bit more, like MSG on a Sunday night. Like, that's what you get up.
Because everyone came to a realization in their hearts. NBC did not host Caitlin Clark's debut. She wasn't a guest star. She didn't appear. She went over. Additionally, you are unable to put someone back in the box once they have crossed over in that manner. She was no longer merely a WNBA player. She was, without a doubt, a basketball star. No boundaries, no designations. And you stop requesting permission once you get to that point. You begin selecting networks, platforms, and opportunities. Power is that. Actual power. Additionally, when players have authority, organizations detest it. Because leverage is a result of power. Control changes as a result of leverage. Furthermore, control is crucial. One uneasy thought therefore persisted in league headquarters after the lights went out that evening. The crowd eventually left, and the clips continued to play. What would happen if she did this on her debut appearance on NBC? Thus, this didn't seem like the pinnacle. It seemed to be a warning sign, the start of something more significant that the system wasn't prepared for. Perhaps this is why no one wanted to express it out, even though everyone had it on their minds. This was more than a debut. It wasn't just television. There was more to this than hype.
Iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general. So we said, let's have a bigger conversation. And it's just so crazy that it feels like every other sport will just come out and say what it is besides the WNBA. The NBA is not scared to acknowledge that there's no more iconic figure in basketball. Not just the women's game, but possibly the game in general than Caitlin Clark. But we would not hear that in the WNBA space. We wouldn't hear that from WNBA media, but the NBA media and the NBA and the league itself is not scared to say it. Like we've seen it when Caitlin does golf events. It just seems like every league but her own is not scared to say the truth. But I do think it's really cool.
That night, Caitlin Clark took on a stage that was too huge for her and made it seem effortless. And you can tell that the game has completely altered when someone makes history seem simple.